Good Vach.
Oh, how are you?
Good luck.
Sorry, gotta do this from the car, so
Ah.
didn't get out as fast as I wanted from Lakewood.
I'm still here, Chiak. I'm having Lava Malka with my kids.
I hope I can get Malava Malka before Chatzos. That's gonna be the goal. When are you coming back?
Tomorrow afternoon, Mr. Shem.
Very nice. All right, we ready to roll? Parrots is on there?
Let's hit record already. I don't know.
We saw
Parrot backing up.
We saw
I
that.
can imagine.
I can see.
Oh, you're gonna have to lock people out because we're gonna end up going like almost to 9:15.
So I'll lock it out. Yeah.
Okay, not yet.
Let's see
Thanks,
what
don't
happens.
worry. Yeah, I'll do it soon.
All right. Okay, we ready? We're on the Mishna, the bottom of Tzadi Yom Beis. Yeah. That's what we got up to, right? Mishna Tzadi Yom Beis. Yeah, we good?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so talk to Mishnah Ha'ainin, right? That's somebody who loses one of the 7 close relatives. And if somebody who's bifafkech a gal, he's a pile of stones that they're choshed that somebody they're not choshed. There's somebody that's under there for sure, and they're trying to uncover it. Somebody's got to mute, please. Anyway, so there's a gal. So there's somebody under there. The question is, are they alive or are they dead? So if the guy is dead, then the person uncovering him is going to become tummy. So can you bring makriv the korban pesach? Can you be makriv the korban pesach for that?
So they're clearing the rubble erev Pesach?
Yes.
Okay.
And the einin also becomes tummy that day. He's got to go to the mikveh. Obviously, we're not talking about an einin that actually became tummy base. It's just somebody who lost a relative, right? And so again, the einin mefakech is a gal v'chein mishav tekul lahitzi mebeis asurim, and they promised him he's going to get out of jail. And somebody who's sick, v'hazakin shein yichaylim lechol kazayis, and a chayil and a zakin who are able to eat a kazayis. So sheichten alein, you're allowed to shech for them. Al kulam ain't sheichten alein b'fnei atzma, but they can only be part of a chabura, but they can't be. You can't if it's their own personal korban pesach. It's not allowed. Shemi yivu as a pesach, but they psul, because what happens if the einin doesn't make it to the mikveh, or it ends up being a mace, or the chayil or the zaken don't end up getting better, and they're not able to eat it. So if you do it for them a private korban, then it's not going to work. So it's going to make it passul. And therefore, if they do become passul, meaning after they're makriv the korban. So let's say you makriv the korban pesach on their behalf, assuming that they're going to be okay, and then it ends up being that they're not okay, like the guy doesn't end up getting out of jail. So then they're potter from pesach sheni because the shchita of the korban was kosher. Except for the guy that's unburying the person who's under the rubble, right? Because that guy, it's a strong possibility that he was tummy from retroactive, because the guy was there, the dead person was there from before the korban pesach was brought. Right, so that's the mission. So we're only talking about if a guy is being jailed by goyim. So you don't know if they're gonna let you out or not. But if he's in jail from Yidden, then you are allowed to shech the korban, even it's just for himself. Since the Yidden promised that he's going to get out, then they're going to let him out. Klal Yisrael does not lie. So if they promise that they're going to let him out before Pesach by night, then you could even shech the Pesach on his behalf, an individual korban Pesach on his behalf. Fine. So this that we said that it's talking about a guy's Pesach Surim. That's only if the jail is outside the wall of Beis Pagi. right? So that's like the outskirts of Yerushalayim. In the walls of Beis Pagi, meaning it's close to Yerushalayim, then you could shecht even for himself. My time why?
There's a
Because
shul called Pagi now.
is that
Right
so?
where the younger light, yeah, right near Bar Ilan. That's Kahati davened there, and I think
Oh yes, okay,
yeah,
so maybe that's there.
it's called, maybe that's why they called it Pagi. I don't know.
I would say that's probably a good chance. Right? Because it wasn't that far out from the old city,
Yeah.
right? So again, because it's very possible, right, that you could bring it to him. Like even if they don't let him out of jail, so you shecht on his behalf, you can somehow get it to him. Right? So those are two clarifications the Gemara says on the Mishna. Fine. So if there is a passul, we're only talking about a pile of stones that's in a circle. So you're automatic. You start digging to the stones over the top. So there's gonna be a tumas oil if there's a mace under there. But if it's a pile of stones that's long, then it's potter melasses pesach sheni. He's gonna be potter ema tar hoyi b'shas shchita, because when it's long, so you start going into the pile from the sides. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna have tumas oil. So therefore, as long as there's a chance that he was tar when they brought the korban pesach, even if it becomes tummy later, he's still gonna be okay. He won't need pesach sheni. Right? You can be mefageach. I'm sorry, mefageach bagal. You can open up a gal. Eat him potter, eat him chayim. Sometimes you're going to be potter, sometimes you're going to be chayim. Okay, so what's the case? Gal ogol v'nimtza tuma tachtav. If you have a round pile of stones, and then he's found tummy under a chayim, then you're going to be chayim. Gal aruch v'nimtza tuma tachtav potter. But if it's long, then it's going to be potter. Eimatar hayi b'shas shrita, because maybe he was tar b'shas shchita because he wasn't definitely on top of it. Okay, so that's that. Fairly straightforward. Gemara. So talk to Mishna. Next Mishna.
Why do all these stones?
What?
Why do these stones? Why do the stones? If there's a mace found under it, why do the stones not get the din of a kever? So you don't need an oil.
What does it get a din of a kever if it's not
just touching the stones will get Tommy?
What?
I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think a din of a kever is if you specifically buried the person there. This I don't think the guy wanted this. I think, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. All right. Okay, so let's see. Mishnah ain't shortness as a pesach ala yochid. You're not allowed to shech the korban based on a yochid, which obviously the previous Mishnah did not go with this shita, right? But Rabbi Yehuda holds that you cannot shech the korban pesach on behalf of one individual. Rabbi Yossi Mater, Rabbi Yossi says, right? So even a chabura of 100 people, but there's not enough kizesim for that 100 people, you're not allowed to shech on them. So therefore. So it's going to learn out the same thing, that if it's one guy, meaning he's saying that the din is in a kizayis. Can the person have a kizayis or not? If you have 100 people and they don't have a kizayis, the korban pesach is no good, right? Because they didn't each take out a kizayis. But if one guy does the korban pesach on his own, a private korban pesach, as long as he has a kizayis, then that's it. Meaning Rabbi Yossi is learning that as long as you have a kizayis, we don't care how many people are part of the korban. We've seen in the Gemara what this means, but you don't make you can't have a chabura of women and slaves and ketanim. Okay, we'll wait for the Gemara to see what that means. Okay, so basically we have a Machlokes whether you can bring an individual korban pesach or not. So Tana Rabbanan, as a pesach ala yachid, how do you know that you can't? According to Rabbi Yehuda, how do you know you can't shech the korban pesach for a yachid? Right? It actually ends up ba'achat sharecha, but the Gemara is using a play on words from the Chumash and saying you shouldn't shecht the korban pesach. Instead of saying ba'achat sharecha, it says ba'achat kama and then sharecha. right? So it's saying that you should shech the pesach for one. If you have one guy and he's able to eat it, you do shech to him. If you have 10 and they're not allowed to eat it, then it doesn't work. Like if they're chaylim, if there's kainim, if they're tamei, whatever it is. Rabbi Yossi hype echad ma'av. Okay, so what does Rabbi Yossi do with the echad? Like Rabbi Shimon, the Tanya Shimon Amar Menayin Lezavechas Pischay Bebamas Yachid B'Shas Isra Bamas Shehu B'Loi Sasa. How do you know that somebody who brings a korban pesach on a Bamas Yachid when there was an Isra Bamas? Before the Mishna, there was 2 times, I think it was 2, where they allowed private Bamas. They allowed private mizbeches. Right, before the Mishkan and then after the Mishkan, before the Beis Hamikdash. So, if somebody brought the korban pesach on his own private mizbeach, right, his own private bama, when it was also to have bamas, so he's over on a lab. There he's darshaning ba'achad sharech. So you would think, okay, so maybe he's not allowed to do it on his own private bama even when there's a heter. It's only a problem when Klal Yisrael is going in one gate together. But when everybody can make bamas, so then when bamas are allowed, so then Klal Yisrael is not going together, then you are allowed to shecht on your own. Rabbi Yehuda Minole, how does he know this about the bamas? Tarti shamas minei. He learns out 2 things from this. So basically, he has the word, the way Darshan supposed to, because lo sucha lechol ba'achad, and then ba'achad sharecha, he can learn out both. Right? The Dilma Kedama Rabbi Yehuda who does it. According to Rabbi Yossi, who says Yidashin is like Rabbi Shimon? Maybe Yidashin is like Rabbi Yehuda. Don't think that. It says every person according to what he eats. Right? So since it's a Lashon Yachid, right? Ish Lefi Achloy, so that tells you that a person is according to what he eats, not according to what the group eats. So therefore, we see that a person can make his own private korban pesach. So Rami Rabba Kavachin and my Prishna Rabba. Me Rabbi Yehuda ain't shechting as a pesach al yachid. Does Rabbi Yehuda hold that you can't shecht the korban pesach on the yachid? Ramin al Eskistira Isha Berishan, a woman on the first, meaning the regular pesach, shechtin aleh b'fnei atzma. You're allowed to shecht on her behalf, just for her. But the pesach sheni, then she's tuffle to others. That's what Rabbi Yehuda holds. Amarle. So you see
Why?
Why what?
I'm saying what, like why? Why yes for the first one but not for the second?
Yeah. So we're gonna have to see on Amud base. It's a whole big Machlokes exactly what women are allowed, what they're not allowed to. So it's a good question. Let's hold off Amud base. So, but that's what again his shita was that Pesach Rishon you can let a lady be on her own, and then Pesach Sheni she only can combine with others. So, but whatever it is, you see that it alone is okay. So I'm related like time b'fnei atzma. Ela ema b'fnei atzman doesn't mean by herself. I mean it means by themselves, meaning you can do it for a group of women. So I'm related do we do a chabura that's only women for Korban Pesach? We're not allowed to make a chabura of nashim avadim uketanim. My love, what does it mean? Nashim lechudayu, it means women by themselves, a separate group of women. Bavadim lechudayu, a separate group of avadim. Uketanim lechudayu, a separate group of ketanim. So I'm related, no, that's not the pshat in the Mishnah. Pshat in the Mishnah is loy, no, that sorry. I'm related, loy. That's not the case. Nashim vavadim uketanim, you can't make chabura of women and slaves and ketanim all together, meaning because then they're all going to have to eat the korban pesach together. Nashim v'avadim mishum tiflus. Nashim and avadim because of tiflus. There might, if they have women and slaves together, so there might be some immoral things that are going to go on there. Ketanim v'avadim mishum pritzus, and ketanim, we're on Talmud Beis now. Ketanim and avadim because of pritzus. You're afraid that they are going to also do improper things. The avadim with the kids. So therefore, you see that women can make their own chaburas. Fine. So gufa. And now we discuss all the cases of women. So gufa. Isha, a woman.
So Yaakov, just
Yeah.
things don't change because the choishes for the nebuch for the kids mishkav zacha with the avodim. Right. So people, if the chacham didn't make a gzera, they would let their kids sit down with the avodim, even though there's a chash mishkav zacha. Same way now, so many people are idiots, and they let their kids go do what?
I hear. She thinks nothing's changed.
Yeah.
I hear. Okay, I hear. It's an interesting horror. Okay, so
Baruch Hashem, we have good reb. The guys who go to Yeshua are good rebbes.
Yeah. All right. So Kufa. Yeah. Isha and a woman, Berishan Shaitan Aleb of Atzma, which we already said means not Atzma, Atzman. Right. So a woman, you could shech the Pesach Rishon. V'sheni oisen oisa tefelu la'acherim, but for the Pesach Sheni, she's tougher to others. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Yosi Amar Isha b'Sheni Shaitan Aleb of Atzma. Rabbi Yosi says on Isha on the Pesach Sheni, she can get her own korban. And then if she could do Pesach Sheni, then for sure she could do Pesach Rishon. Rav Shimon Omer, Isha b'Rishon oisen oisa tefelu la'acherim. On the Pesach Rishon, she can be part of a chabura. She's tougher to others. Sheni ain't shachtan ala kol ikr, but Pesach Sheni, women don't do Pesach Sheni. So now basically we have a three-way machlokes what the story is with women. Right? Rabbi Yehuda holds they can get their own individual Pesach on for Pesach Rishon, which we said that means just women, and Sheni they can hook on with others. Rabbi Yosi says she can make a korban Pesach for herself, Sai Pesach Rishon, Sai Pesach Sheni. And Reb Shimon says Pesach Rishon she could be part of a group, and Pesach Sheni she's potter. Yeah, so we're gonna have a whole long Gemara now how we learn this all out. But Michael Miflagi, what's the Machlokes Talia? Rabbi Yehuda Savar the Michsas Nefashos, right? So we had this pasuk a few times. When it says accounting of people, you have the korban Pesach with accounting of people. Filu nashim, so Nefashos is plural, so it means even women could be part of the korban. If you're going to say so if that's the case, so then according to Rabbi Yehuda, the second one also, right? The Pesach Sheni should also be right. Because it says cheta yisa ishahu. It says that person will have a chet ish in ishaloi, a man yes, a woman not. Right. So Pesach Sheni is memela. You say a woman is not part of Pesach Sheni. If you're going to say, so if that's the case, so if she's potter from Pesach Sheni, so then why should she even be part of Chabura? Just say she doesn't have to be part of Pesach Sheni. So it says, right? When it says, it means that she can't get her own individual korban Pesach, but she could be part of another group's korban. But Rabbi Yosi my time. Okay, so that was Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yosi, what's his reason? D'chsev Barishan. I know somebody's calling me. That's why my face went off. Rabbi Yosi my time. D'chsev Barishan b'michsas nefashos. It says by the Pesach Rishon michsas nefashos, by the amount of people. Vafilu isha. That means even a woman. D'chsev Pesach Sheni v'nichrusa hanefesh shehim Yisrael. It says that nefesh will get kares. Nefesh rafilu nashim. So it means a nefesh. A woman is also a nefesh. So they're also going to get kares. Velacheta yisa ishahu. So what about the pasuk that it says that person is? It says a man. What's he doing with that pasuk? Which is what Rabbi Yehuda had used. What's that coming to exclude? Katan mikares. It's coming to exclude a katan from kares. Now Taisus talks about right here. So what is a katan need to be excluded from kares, right? The katan is potter, meaning maybe he's gil lechinuch, but he's not going to get kares for not bringing korban Pesach. Okay, whatever. That's Taisus says it's talking about where he became a bar mitzvah in between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. For all those that said pshat l'chan, for the bar mitzvah boy becoming during Sfira, right? So does he start saying with a bracha? Does he not? Because maybe he lost.
But then he's not a katan.
When?
Meaning you're saying that he's becoming a bar mitzvah. So once he's a bar mitzvah, he's not a katan anymore.
Right, but
He was a
katan
by Pesach Rishon. He was a katan.
He became bar mitzvah in the middle of Sfira, right? So he became potter. He was potter for Pesach Rishon, and then he only became chayiv before Pesach Sheni. So in that case, we would say he's not chayiv. He wouldn't be chayiv kares if he didn't bring korban pesach. I'm sure this made this into many a pshetel for any bar mitzvah boy. That right? That's still anybody that comes bar mitzvah in Sfira has this whole shiloh. Like, does a bar mitzvah bacher count Sfira from with a bracha, right? Because he wasn't really chayiv; he's only chayiv al tzchinuv. Yeah, okay. Reb Shimon, that's the third shita. Reb Shimon ksib rishon. It says by Pesach rishon ish. It says ish in yerushalyim. A man, yes. A woman, not. And if you're gonna say ihachi, afilu tefela nami loy. So if that's the case, then why? Even if she's toughl to the korban, meaning even to be part of a group, it's a problem. So ahani leba michsas nefashas tefela. No, for that we have the pasuk of michsas nefashas for a toughl. So if that's the case, then she should be part of Pesach sheni too. So the Gemara says, the Gemara excluded her from Pesach sheni to siv cheta isa ishahu, right? Ish in yerushalyim, and so therefore that's why we're saying not. So then the question is going to say, the obvious question is, who says you put which pasuk to which Pesach? Meaning we're saying that she's included as a tuffle for the Pesach Rishon, but excluded Pesach Sheni. Maybe flip the psukim. If from the Rishon, the way I said the Kaj is not exactly what the Gemara is asking. The Gemara is really asking, Hashta B'Rishon, if she's not part of the Pesach Rishon, B'Sheni Mibai, do you have to say a Chiddush that she's not part of Pesach Sheni? Meaning, if Pesach Sheni is meant for people that are in Pesach Rishon, then they can't bring the Pesach Sheni. I'm sorry, they're in the Pesach Rishon, they can't bring the Pesach Rishon, so they bring the Pesach Sheni. If somebody's part of a Pesach Rishon, mitzad din, not because of Tumas, and of course they can be part of a Pesach Sheni. We need a pasuk for that.
So what about the katan?
What?
What about the katan?
The katan.
He was part
Well,
of
he's a male. Well, he's a male, so we don't.
Right,
But he wasn't
chayav.
chayiv. He wasn't chayiv the first time around.
Right, you're saying he wasn't chayav the first time. He was potter from it.
So why should he be chayiv the second time?
Correct.
No, and no. So
you're saying
because
maybe the chiyuv didn't kick in until the second one came about, so maybe that's why.
Yeah. I think you're 100% correct. Yeah, but here the Gemara is saying it a different way. The Gemara is asking, well, why do you need a pasuk by Pesach Rishon? If she's out from Pesach Rishon, then Avada she's out from Pesach Rishon. I mean, a katan is not out from Pesach Rishon. He wasn't yet in the chiyuv. Here we're saying this is a woman. Women don't bring Pesach Rishon. So why do I need a pasuk to tell you don't bring Pesach Sheni? Right. So again, Sheni mibai elala mitfela. So it must be that it's telling you tefela. It's not telling you she's potter from Pesach Rishon. She's telling you she's potter from Pesach Rishon from herself, right? I'm sorry, she's potter from a group, but the second she is potter totally. That's what we're saying, right? Does that make sense? Did I just say that correctly?
Meaning we're saying she can't even become part of a group for the second.
Correct. I'm sorry, right? I said the first. She's not even for the first. She could be part of a group. Thank you. For the first, she could be part of a group. For the second, she can't even be part of a group. Yeah. So umay ish the Kamar Reb Shimon. What is the ish that Reb Shimon was talking about? If it's because each man should take a set to his father's house, right? So that the ish. We're talking about for an ish zaycha and ein katan zaycha, meaning a katan you can't put a katan in charge of getting the korban pesach on behalf of the group. Ve'ela me ish lefi achlei. It's ish lefi achlei. Hamad Reb Yossi savar like Reb Shimon. So if Reb Yossi holds like Reb Shimon nami savar like Reb Yossi. Reb Shimon also holds like Reb Yossi. Va'humi ba'yeleila the sharktin as a pesach ala yachid, and that comes to tell you need that pasuk to tell you that you're shechting the korban even for a yachid. So then he says, he says, Im came, Nichtev Rachmana Lafi Achlai. So let the pasuk just write Lafi Achlai, my ish. Why does it have to say ish Lafi Achlai? Just say Lafi Achlai, right? Meaning that it's for people that are eating it, even for one person. So Shamas Minot Tarti said, if we learn out two things from the pasuk, fine. Kaman Azla Hada Amar Rabbi Elazar Isha Barishon Chayva B'Sheni Rishus B'Doiches HaShabbos. How do we know that an Isha in the first Pesach is a chiyuv, and the sheni it's a rishus. B'doiches Shabbos and Doiches Shabbos. So if it's the Pesach Doiches Shabbos, Ela Ema, let's say b'sheni rishus or rishon chayva v'doiches Shabbos. Say on the second it's a rishus, and the rishon it's a chayva and it's doiches Shabbos. Kiman Rabbi Yehuda, and who's that like? Obviously goes like Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that she is chayv. Amar Rav Yaakov, Amar Yochanan, ein oisen chabura shekulam gerim. Oh, here's a new din. You can't make a chabura that's gerim. Shema yedaktiku boy v'yivei lidei passul, because maybe the gerim are. It's a very interesting thing. The Rashi says yedaktiku boy mishum she'enan b'nei Torah. Since the gerim are not b'nei Torah, yachmiru olav. They're going to end up being too machmer ladaktik. V'yislu alchinam, and they're going to end up passeling it for no good. Rashi is saying something that the more uneducated you are, the more machmer you're going to get, right? And you're going to be so machmer that you're going to end up passeling up korbanos. So therefore, you need to get at least somebody who's not a ger in there that has some sort of education, which is interesting in many ways, because usually a ger, we make sure that they're educated before we take them as a ger. And also it's a little bit degrading to the gerim to tell them you can't make your own individual group because we're afraid that you guys don't know the halachas. Okay, I don't know, but whatever it is.
So yeah, maybe dafka by the seder, because it's so much seder, there's so much messiah. None of these fellas ever saw a seder before. So
I hear it's also a big shiloh with gerim by the seder. Also, can they say, because it's not their parents that got out, right? I mean, Lamaisa, we paskin that they could say it, but how can they say, how do you call it? What's the Mayinu and
so is there a special ger Haggadah?
There isn't. No, they say the same thing. They say the same thing as us, but it's not so pashut. It's not so pashut. Okay, the main lesson we have to take out of this is that
make one, give it out free with any $200 order.
Thank you. It's going to attract a lot of gerim.
Next to the Maxwell house. But the main lesson we have to take out of this is that the bigger Amaretz you are, the more machmer you end up being, right? And that's talking the way it is. When I started Boirer in the ladies' Matzah Shabbos here, so I saw Rav Harfernus brings from one of the Chassidish Paiskim. He says in Hilchas Shabbos, usually the more educated you get, the more makel you can end up being. Except by Boirer. By Boirer, the more educated you get, the more things you aser, right? But B'derech Klal, the more educated you are, the more maker you could be. Okay, good. Tana Rabbanan. Pesach matzah umaror berishon chayva mikan ve'elach rishus. So Pesach matzah umaror on the first day is a chiyuv. The rest of the days it's a rishus. Reb Shimon Omer ba'anoshim chayva b'noshim rishus. By men it's a chiyuv. By women it's a rishus. So now what is that talking about? Aheya, what's that going on? Ilema Pesach, if it's going on Pesach, Pesach kol shiva mi'ika, is there Pesach all 7 days? Pesach is just the first day, meaning the korban Pesach. Bella matzah umar must be going on matzah umar. Ema seifa Reb Shimon Omer ba'anoshim chayva b'noshim rishus. Right? It's actually taka for Parsha Zachar. It's right, same type of sugya. Right? So Ella matzah umar, right? So it's going on matzah umar. So if that's the case, the sefer Reb Shimon Omer ba'anoshim chayva.
Matzah. 1 second. Tomorrow you have more than the first day also.
What? 1 second. Let's see. Ema sefer Reb Shimon Omer ba'anoshim chayva b'noshim rishus. By anoshim it's a chiyuv and anoshim it's rishus. Less of Reb Shimon, so Reb Shimon doesn't hold how the Amar of Elazar Nashim Chayavas B'Achilas Matzah Dvar Torah, that women are mechuyev to eat matzah is a daraisa. Shenemer lo yisaychel elav chametz shivas yom toichel elav matzahs. Right? It says don't eat chametz and eat matzah. Kol sheyeshna b'bal toichel chametz yeshna b'kum echel matzah. Whoever is in the chiyuv of not eating chametz, which everybody is because it's allowed, is also chayav to eat matzah. V'hani nashim hoyel v'yeshna b'bal toichel chametz yeshna b'kum echel matzah. And these women, since they are in the isser of not eating chametz, and then they have to eat matzah too. So how can you say that women is only yerushalyim the rest of all the 7 days? Ela ema pesach matzah umar berishon chayva. Pesach matzah umar on the first day is a chiyuv. Mikan ve'elech rishus. From there on in, it's a rishus. Shimon Omer pesach ba'anoshim chayva b'noshim rishus. The korban pesach by men is a chiyuv, and b'noshim it's a rishus. Right? So he's not talking about matzah, or he's talking about Pesach, right? Which is Reb Shimon Lishitasei on the top, that women are not mechuyev to bring a korban pesach, right? They have the option to bring the korban pesach. So I think, Naftali, to answer your question, so Morer is, I think it's just brought agav the pesach, but you're right. There's no mitzvah to bring Morer. Morer goes along with the pesach, and not with the matzah, with the matzah. Yeah. Okay. So whatever it is, the reason why people think that the reason why women are chayiv Purim is because of afin hayibayis. That's a derabbanan. There's no special limit that they were part of the nace. They were also going to get killed, so therefore they're part of it. So people think they were also in the nace of Mitzrayim, and that's the reason. No, that would make it a derabbanan. The reason why women are chayiv in matzah as a deraisa is because since whoever's in the isser of not eating chametz is in the mitzvah of matzah. Okay, I hope I was a little clear, and I hope it wasn't too long for everybody.
Shkoyach, thank you.
Tomorrow night is zicher. Tomorrow night is definitely not at 9 o'clock. I have a Sheva Brachas back in Lakewood, so either like 7:45 or maybe like 9:30. I don't know, whatever. I'll put it out on the chat. We'll have to fight about it.
7:45.
We'll fight about it. Let's see. All right.
Well, that's why I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm looking forward to the fight.
Okay. At least something. Fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Yashikaya, I get the
Everybody. Thank you.
Mazel tov.